Hello, hello, hello. Kevin here, and today I'm releasing a podcast episode because that is a thing. It's the Code Monkey podcast, which is very, very exciting. Been doing that for a while, and I wanted to talk to you about it, but I figured that I was probably a little bit biased, being one of the co-hosts of the podcast. So I have here today with me the other co-host of the podcast to talk to you about the Code Monkey podcast, Mr. Alex Bragdon. Alex, how are you doing?
Cheers, everyone. I'm doing quite well. How are you?
On behalf of everyone, I think they're all doing fine.
Good.
But by the time this video comes out, that may have changed. I don't know. We will see.
What were you suggesting? There's going to be some sort of cataclysmic event? Because that's certainly a possibility here on the planet Earth.
That is absolutely a possibility. And actually, that brings me to my first question about the Code Monkey podcast, Alex. On the recent controversy between SpaceX and Tesla and Solar City guru Elon Musk and the internet's own Leon Musk regarding Mars versus Earth. Where do you currently stand on that debate?
Well, Kevin, I think this is sort of the classic sort of misdirection attempt. I think both Leon Musk and Elon Musk have very similar goals for the species as a whole. It's really more of a factor of timetables in this case.
Should we save the human race fast or slow?
I'm all about fast. I was getting there. Like, Elon Musk knows how to play this game fast, and he knows how to do things fast. Have you seen how fast his rockets go up and come back down? They're fast.
Leon Musk is actually John Green. You've now come out in opposition to John Green, which is very disappointing. Moving on. Next question. What is the Code Monkey podcast, Alex?
Well, the Code Monkey podcast is you and I just sort of talking at each other about nonsense for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Why is it called a podcast?
Well, it's called a podcast because I load the casting software via a framework I call a pod. It's like portable on-demand storage. So when I record my audio, the storage goes into a portable pod called, a pod, portable on-demand storage.
So that's like the thing that you use when you're moving houses across distances. They drop it off, except instead of loading furniture, you load audio
data
files, presumably.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we ship that across the country to you, and then you broadcast it via, pipey magic stuff. So it's a cast via a series of pods. Well, at least one pod. So it's a podcast.
So if the Code Monkey podcast were a Pokemon, which Pokemon would the Code Monkey podcast be?
Well, that's an interesting question. I have to admit I don't get that often.
It's weird because I feel like that's the question I'm most often asked.
I'd probably have to say it's an Abra.
Good, you had an answer right there. Okay, so for listeners who may be avid multitaskers, name 36 activities that you can do while listening to the Code Monkey podcast.
Okay, that's easy. You can stand on your big toe, you can stand on your little toe, you can stand on your rightmost thumb, you can stand on your leftmost thumb. Oh, that's backwards. So you can reverse that, which I believe gets you a squared number of things. So I think that puts us up to 20 already.
On a scale of 1 to 2, how would you rate this interview?
Pi divided by 2.
Which is your favorite Code Monkey?
Oh, that would be Alex Bragdon.
I mean, yes, sometimes we do refer to ourselves as Code Monkeys, being the co-hosts of the podcast, but I mean, real Code Monkeys. Which is your favorite?
Alex Bragdon.
All right, well, that is all the time we have. I want to thank Alex Bragdon for being on here. Alex, where can people go to listen to more of your inane ramblings?
Well, twitter.com/Alex Bragdon is probably the best place. The causal nexus of all things Alex Bragdon.
And if they want to subscribe to the podcast, you can go to codemonkeypodcast.com or visit iTunes and type in podcast, or visit other podcasting apps and type in Code Monkey Podcast. I don't know. You think they'll be able to find it, Alex?
I'm pretty sure. I think you've done a fair job of making it very well findable.
All righty. Well, thank you, Alex, for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kevin.
And everybody else, we will see you over on the podcast. Cheers.
Yeah, except we won't because, it's an audio and not video.
I said cheers.
Won't see you at all.
I said cheers. That's the end. It's the end.
Fine.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.